Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah, okay, because we need really to record such things to open the eyes of women, to know first who they are in Islam. I think this point is missing. Missing, why? Because women, I think women after the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, historically speaking, start pulling themselves out and away from their society. It was first the woman's mistake. I should not claim that it should be ever men's mistake that women suffer. I think every time a woman, anyone, suffer, it will be because she put her hands up.
Meaning she
and surrender, you know, and to give the man extra space, although it is not his right. And you know, by the time he will take it for granted that this space is mine. You know, this is my right upon you. Although in the beginning and going back in the main source of Islam, you will see that it has never been his right. But again, this is in the beginning women's fault. Here I have to bring in some evidence actually to show you how it was happening that women been pulling, you know, the string and men in the other side, and some women been pushed their sisters to accept. And this is wrongdoing. But we do that. We do that. As moms, as sisters, we do that. Okay, going back in history, we have the first story. Today we have, and I don't know if I mentioned before, but I need it today. It is the story of the wife of Umar ibn al-Khattab, but not the one when she been standing up in his face and telling him off that you have to accept my view. We know that. We've been there and we said that. But today we have another story. This time, this lady of Umar ibn Khattab, she been praying the 5 prayers at mosque on time. Talking from the dawn prayer till the Isha prayer, both in night time and the rest of them in daytime. All the 5, she been doing those prayers on time, in mosque, in the gathering prayer. Just you imagine, any lady, even in our time, to go out immediately after hearing the call of prayer, immediately heading to the mosque and sitting there. You're talking about half, if it is really close, up to 1 hour, moving. Now she is on the move. And you know that, talking about that time, historically speaking, it wasn't only about praying and going back home again. It was about having some dars, you know, some classes, extra classes, having some political issues to discuss. So the meaning 5 times prayers, meaning that she been very active and she been very much involved in her community. What happened? That one of the sons of Umar ibn Khattab, he been old, and it seems that she wasn't the first wife. So they been standing in her face and telling her off. What was the message? And they said it clearly. Don't you know, and I'm quoting now from Sahih al-Bukhari, don't you know that Umar feels jealous and he hates you going out every single time? Talking about the extra space that's been given nowadays to some men, some husbands. Okay, so she responds like this. She said, and what really prevents him from stopping me? So if he really suffers, he's Omar. You know Omar. So he can stand up for his own rights. He does not need somebody to pass the message for him, for his behalf. So she answered this way. And they said immediately, don't you know that he feels jealous? Okay, why should not he stop meeting? They said, because he heard the Prophet said that you are not allowed to prevent your women from heading to the mosque whenever they wishes. Wow. So they shut. Such speech of the Prophet kept Umar away from even daring to ask his woman to stop going to the mosque. Because now it is clear enough to him that it is not his right, and according to his religion and her religion as well, that it is her space and he is not allowed to touch it. So about this hadith, we know that women, they are free enough to go to the mosque anytime they wish, and there is no chance to their husbands to stop them. Yet, people keep saying to us, and we are heading to Ramadan time, that the best prayer of women is the one in her own house. And going to the darkest spot in her house is even the best.
As far away from the rest of the world as possible.
Well, this hadith is not weak, to be honest. This is Hasan hadith. Okay. But what is the meaning of this hadith? What is the meaning? Well, you can't take one hadith and you leave the other. Although the first hadith which we mentioned already, it is sahih. So when you are talking about the classification of hadith, this sahih one should precede. And there is no way to take the other hadith to stop the first hadith from being active one, and people live upon it. So where is the missing point here? How can we take this and this together without having any kind of contrast between them? Well, it is easy task to accomplish. It is about your priorities. It is your choice. It is your priorities. You decide till you like what. If you are heading to the mosque and you know that you are leaving young children home and they are not safe enough, as a mom, as a Muslim woman who is biased, you know that their right is more important than yours in this point. But still, it is your choice. No one is allowed to tell you off not to go. It is not to them. So again, both hadith actually play together. You know yourself, you know your priorities. If there's any such priority in your home, it should be number one. Because the interest of the group in general, not only in women cases, it should be received. Okay, telling about having some elder in your house and they need somebody to look after them. Here I have to stop. Why is that? Because some men, they have their own mothers and they are old enough. And the minute, and I'm not sure if it is about the Western mentality as well, but the Arab mentality here is very strange. She is your mother. I'm talking about the elderly lady. And you are, as a man, you are responsible to look after her. So it is not the duty of your wife to look after her. Well, if she does such thing, it will be voluntary work. And it should not be done upon her own choice. Not upon you pushing her and warning her that if you didn't do such and such, you won't be good woman or good wife. or a good mu'mina. This is not to him. This is not to him. Okay,
This is not just the Arab culture, though, too. It's many of the Muslim cultures the same thing.
Well,
Where
again,
the woman is expected to take care of the mother-in-law. It's not just ours.
but again, it is about your choice. I'm not saying that. I'm not encouraging you to do such thing. But I'm saying it is a very clear message. It is your voluntary work if you decide to. But you have to remember, in Islam, if you do anything, even if it is a good thing, and it's been under pressure, so it wasn't free choice, you won't guarantee any hasanat. You know? People think that, okay, I'm doing right thing, good things, not right thing, good things, but if it's been done without free choice, in this case, you won't get anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any blessing from Allah. Because you are not doing this for His sake. You are doing this because you are under pressure. And there is a very wide gap between such and such.
An implied threat in that, too. From the men. It's not even a warning sometimes, it's a threat. You know? And again, the issue that you're not a good Muslim and not a good woman.
Well, you know, each case, when we are discussing each case, I'm talking about the cases that, you know, brought up by people. We look at the cases, you know, and we look at women. Again, what I said in the beginning, if a woman, it is again her fault, from the beginning, giving extra space to her husband, well, there is no other to blame but herself. But if she said and stood up for her right and she said, no, this is not my duty. I know my duties in Islam as a wife. This is not among them. But I can do this if I wish. And if I'm doing this, not because it is a must, but because I think this will be a good source of hasanat for me, I'll do it voluntarily. You don't need to ask. And you are not allowed to blame for anything. This is important. You have to be clear enough to say, when you say yes, why, and when you say no, why. These clear messages will soften your life as a husband. And really, I'm not blaming him after 20 years of giving him your extra spaces, which is your rights, dropping them down for him. And you come to me after 20 years to say, well, he done such and such. Well, you being the one who been giving him this extra space. And of course, after all this long time, he will think, he will come to some kind of, taking this as guarantee, and this is his own right. Things will change about that. Reminding you, you are doing this and now I'm stopping doing that. Again, without giving him your clear message why you are doing that. He will consider it to be in shoes. That you are not obeying me anymore. Come on, I wasn't doing that because of obeying you, because it's not your right. I've been doing that because I'm a good lady. You know? So, your clear message should be, yeah, I know. Well, I know some...
I mean, really, you just want to cry because you've been under this, and again, you're right, it is our fault, but without someone giving you this kind of knowledge to stand up for your rights in these things. I mean, they do have a way of manipulating you.
Well, I can...
And also in Quran, today I wanted to say in the lesson, in Quran you find all of the admonitions to the man, to the husband, to take care of his wife. The surahs about the Nisa, taking care of women. There is a thought, taking care of women, not taking care of the husband, taking care of women, taking care of yatim, or whatever, in sort of talaq, in divorce, tahrim. There's a lot about have taqwa and take care of the women. Have taqwa, take care of the women. I see a lot of that, but I don't see the verses saying to the woman, have taqwa and do this for your husband. Where are those verses? Because the whole culture seems to be built on the woman must do this, 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 and this, and this for the man, and forget about everything she needs, everything she wants, because Allah will reward her with her sabr, you know. And it's like, okay, but where does that come from? In the Quran, what I read is admonitions to the male species to take care of his womenfolk, whether it be his mother, his sisters, his wife, his daughters, whatever. But there's a lot of that. But I'm saying, where in the culture does it flip that, you know, the man can do whatever he wants, but it's the woman who has to take care?
You have to take into account that it's not like it's just the first generation. So the husband knows better, but he's just going along with, you know, whatever the wife's giving in and trying his hand. If he's been brought up in families that for generations have thought that, in a way he's got every right to think he's a because that's the way he's been brought up to think.
Even with that bond, even with that bond which you raised already, the first minute in your marriage, for example, I give you very it is really, I don't know what kind of example will be. It is a very simple one. The first day of your marriage, and I'm talking in general, in this point to the youth, and the new, inshallah, bride and grooms. The new bride, and I keep saying this in my classes to the bride, you know, I'm running this circle for 5 years now. The minute he said he's coming, you know, going to bring his to himself a glass of water, and you say, don't. It is to me to bring this to you. It is the first minute you are really digging a nail in your grave. Honest. Because what you are doing, what you said already, so my mother was raising me this way. Okay, but look, wow. This is even better. Of course, it is even better to be treated as some kings in the medieval history, right? But in Islam, it is the king. Well, we don't have kings in Islam. It is to Khalifa to serve people. So we have this saying, and it is, I think, and I believe it is authentic hadith, that Sayyidul Qawmi Khadimuhum, that you are getting the position by, you know, to be above people the minute you are serving them. You know, it is about serving, giving out, you know, whatever you can to those people. Talking about family, we are talking about the very small Islamic state. And again, if we give the role of Khalifa to the husband, well, in this case, he is the one to serve, not to be obeyed.
So he's the servant, not the master.
By having this comparison between the biggest state, Islamic state, Khilafah, and the smaller one. Even with that, because I don't want people to say, she admitted he is the Khalifa in his house. No, because, hang on, because according to Islam, the community is to choose the Khalifa. The minute that Khalifa is not giving to the people their dues, they are allowed, according to Islam, to stand up in his face and to say, you are not Khalifa anymore. So it is not a must and guarantee right that the minute he is Khalifa, he will be Khalifa forever. Well, this Khalifa forever, it is an Arab word. But in Islamic state, it is not. It is not. It is for people to choose, for people to approve, and for people to stand up against such Khalifa who is turning to be a tyrant. So we want Khalifa to serve people, not to be served by people. So it is the same about husbands. Going back to the Prophet.
For our Western audience, that sounds a lot like democracy, doesn't it?
Well, it is even better. Okay, I want to give the evidence. Going to the Prophet's house. And we are taking the witness of Aisha radiallahu anha. What she said is like this. When the Prophet is out, he is serving the people. The minute he is in, talking about the Prophet's house, he's talking about different rooms, not to think about different palaces there. No, different rooms in the same area, which is the mosque. Okay? Those tiny rooms, really tiny rooms, okay? there, the minute he'll be there, he is serving his, what? His home, his wives, whatever they need, he is going to do for them. So he is serving out and serving in, outdoors and indoors. Not only that, if he needed anything, he'd been cooking, and he'd been sewing his own clothes and his own shoes. And he never asked his wives to do anything for that, from that to him. So it was his. So when Aisha referred to that, she said, he used to do what you used to do in your own houses. The meaning that what the Prophet used to do, the companions used to do in their houses about Islam now. What you've been saying, Noor, it's very true. Taking care of in the positive way, meaning serving their wives, looking after their needs, but without nullify the fact that she can stand for her own rights. She is a full human being. This is why I hate this translation, taking care of, because it seems that you are paralyzed in some point and he is the one who is taking care of you. No, it is not this way. We are talking about positive serving, that he is serving. Taking care of you, he is serving, he is providing for you. So what he is doing, he is serving you. So this is the first part of our speech. The second part of our speech, it is to give extra examples of women having very active roles in Islam. Again, we are referring to the witness of Umar ibn al-Khattab. And to remind you, before Islam, women being nothing. After Islam, they being what? Everything. Really, I'm saying that truly. You go and search in the Quran, there is no verse, no chapter named men, but there is a chapter named women. Yeah. And again, why is that? To draw the attention of the community that you have to change. And those women who have been vulnerable, they are fully human beings, and they are equal to you in front of Allah's eyes and in their own communities. So we are talking about full human beings who are equal, regardless of their sexes. Okay? Coming again to the evidence here. The evidence here, and now what I'm saying, talking about that how women being standing up in the face of people who wanted things to go backwards. Backward to the Jahiliyyah era before Islam. This is why I keep saying Islam in the Prophet's life and companion's life going up to what? To the highest point when it comes to women's rights in Islam. After the Prophet's death and the companion, historically speaking, the wars which being waged against Islam in and between and from outside Islam as well. So after that, the women's rights start fading away, and the Jahiliyyah customs supersede again. So it is about, I keep saying, Islam came from the door and stood up for women's rights, and then the customs being sneaking again from the windows, from the backyard, and coming again to supersede. Using what? Using the power. Starting from the first evidence. It happened that it being passed to Aisha radiallahu anha, that Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the Umayyad Khalifa, he said that he have some kind of a new ruling, which is that people, when they go to Kaaba, because we need to circle around Kaaba, women should be alone and men should be alone. He's been talking about segregation. So Aisha understood what is the point about segregation. It's about keeping women away from the community. She understood that clearly. This is why she said, no, we used to do that together, and we'll keep doing that together. Time never changed. Still, we are the same. We are people. The same interests, the same evil ideas being in the heads of the people. It is always there. So why should we change Quranic rulings and Islamic rulings because of or under the umbrella of time changes? By doing that, it is to say that Islam does not suit every time and every place. And this is, I think, a gate of error when it comes to Islam. Because Islam represents itself to be the religion which suits all times and all places. Good for the West, good for the East. Suitable for the West, suitable for the East. And suitable for the first generation and suitable for the last generation. So why should we say that ruling should be changed or stopped? Well, actually, this idea being used a lot and still being using to pull away all women rights in Islam. For example, to be active, going out, no, because you will be mingling with men. And mingling with men, that means men will look at you.
Mingling.
Mingling with them. Not mingling, okay, mingling with them, sorry. You know, this is the language.
Sorry, you don't mingle, but I'll jump in.
Okay, so, okay, but having such mistaken language, it will be even a great mistake to have such mistake in understanding the language. Okay, so yeah, mingling was the source of evil, and this is why, this is the other thing that they've been using. They use some fabricated hadith to pull out the right view. How is that? For example, mingling with, okay, all the companions lately, they've been mingling with companion males, talking about words in Islam, talking about marching and, you know, selling, buying things, or going to mosques. Okay, what happened then? Okay, immediately they push in this fabricated hadith. It says, again fabricated, it says that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ stepped in Fatima's house, and it was, and this is true, the habit of the Prophet, every time he see Fatima and she'll see him, that they are going to stand up and to hug each other. Okay, so this is sound. So what they do, they added the fabricated one. And then, this is the fabricated, they said that the Prophet asked Fatima, what is the best for a woman? The best thing. And immediately she said, again, fabricated hadith, that the best for a woman not to be seen by men and not to see men. Well, in this case you are talking about some woman who has some disease in her heart and mind, not to be able to face men in all circumstances, you know. So this is fabricated. And such hadith, believe it or not, 2002, I heard it and broadcast it in some Arab channel to the whole world. In khutbah. So khutbah, which is the very best speech, it should be the very best speech reminding people about the true Islam, it's been used to block the way of women to be active in their communities. Of course, any husband, any man, any brother, any father will hear such thing. He will go back home and ask his daughter to be home, to stay at home. If this is not good, to be out, it is not good, to be seen is not good. But it is about burying women alive. It It is as simple as that. Well, another fabricated hadith being pushed in, that the woman, any woman, she has 2 times out, to go out from her house. 2 occasions. Marriage and buried.
Marriage and what?
Marriage and buried. To be dead, to die, and to take her corpse,
To die twice.
body.
Sorry,
It is about
twice.
yes, look, it is a very marvelous combination, marriage and death.
The rest of the time she should be in the kitchen, or how does that work?
Well, in this case,
The darkest room ever. In constant prayer in the darkest part of this room in the house.
So what's that based on then? What was that? Who came to that conclusion and made that?
about stunning.
No, about the...
About the 2 times she
About
should be
staying in.
outside.
Well, it is not my conclusion, it is fabricated hadith.
Yes, okay, so that's just part of the hadith.
They pushed this hadith.
But who made this?
Well, they made it up. It is fabricated. Again, who will, and this is, I think, very legitimate question, who will make up such hadith? And while they are doing that, they are lying on the Prophet himself, which is something being in Islam as grave sin. According to the sound hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that the one who lies at me or lies, or spreading lies related to me, okay, he will be in the hellfire. He will be doomed. Because what he is doing, he is destroying the religion, regardless of his intention. Well, coming to your question, actually, the people who made up hadith in Islam have many reasons. Political reasons, historical reasons, when it comes again to politics. Some people to serve their own interest. For example, someone who is selling, for example, cucumber or tomato or some kind of sweets. We have harissa, for example. Harissa, it is very, very delicious sweet. But it seems some of them he could not sell out the whole set that he had. So immediately he made up a hadith that the one who will eat harissa, he will have extra time to live. Of course, people will rush in to eat. The same about different kind of foods. About times, we have fabricated hadith about preferred times and preferred occasions. Some of those reasons, for example, it is about some jealous husbands. And here I present another hadith which is fabricated. Woman has the right to set herself free from her marriage. The men, they have the right of divorce. She has the right of khula. Both are leading to the same result, that the marriage is dissolved. But the first one, which is the divorce, it is from man's side, and the other one from her side. When the divorce comes from man's side in Islam, he has to pay. He has to pay some kind of allowance, and so her dowry. So she, even with that, he is taking the decisions. Still, she has rights upon him to be done and to be, given. From her side, if it is her who wants to dissolve her marriage, it is khula. And in this case, she has to pay. Just if she is coming to that conclusion by her own free choice, not because he been pushing her in that direction, by mistreating her, and then she is asking for khula. It wasn't free choice. So she has to be clear enough in the court to tell why she is reaching such decision. Okay? Now, in Islam, and according to men mentality, talking about Arab men, wow, this is too much. Women can immediately dissolve the marriage. the minute she stood up to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and I'm referring to sound hadith, Jamila stood up to the Prophet and she said, I can't be the life with Thabit anymore. I can't live with him. Well, the ulama, they brought up 3 reasons. One of them, that she could not look at his face anymore. She see him ugly. But did she say that before? Well, there was no such comparison before. The meaning, the minute she decided to dissolve her marriage, she saw him coming with a group of men, and he was the ugliest. So that minute, immediately, she could see what kind of husband he was. Although she said it clearly, I don't have anything against him in Islam. He is a good man, but I can't be in life with him because I'm afraid that I won't be able to give him his dues. Because if you hate somebody, you can't sit, you can't kiss him, you can't touch him, you can't even sit with him. This is understood. So this was a perfect message, and immediately the Prophet asked him to come in, and he said to her, what kind of present he gave you? She said, he gave me some kind of garden. So he said, you have to return this back to him. And the marriage being dissolved immediately. Not to stay extra time. Not talking about 2 or 3 years in courts. We are talking about immediate action. Of course, this will be too much to Arab mentality. Even now, I've been in some cases, and I keep saying, well, it is from her side, and she doesn't want, talking about just having the marriage contract, not even having intercourse yet. And the minute I raise this point, the men feel really angry that you are stepping upon, our dignity as men, our pride as men. Well, really, this touched the pride of men. Psychologically speaking, she is the one who said to him, I don't want you. Well, this right is preserved in Islam too for women. And of course the Arab mentality, what they can do about sound understanding in the verse of the Quran and its sound hadith. How could they stop it? Easy, fabricated hadith. Push it in, and to say that the woman who asks for divorce, ask for khula, precisely, asking for khula, they are the adulteress.
Oh, yeah.
With a minute you will say, well, to be honest, the first time I heard this hadith, before going and digging to made up my research about it, I heard it in the Jordanian TV when they've been discussing the article in Parliament whether the ruling and the law of khula in the Jordanian court should be approved or not. So immediately they raise this hadith and they pull down the sound hadith and even forget completely about the verse about it. So this is how women's rights being taken away and faded away by the time. We have the power of the customs, and when you are talking about the power of the customs, the people who rule people, being Khalifa or kings, they are the children of their people, the children of their customs, but not their time, because they want to rule people according to the time before Islam, which is very much backward. You see, so this is not acceptable anymore. But this is exactly why women in our own time, talking about Muslim women, they are not active as they supposed to be. Is this the only examples that we have? No. Actually, I want to take you backward again in time, but not in Jahiliyyah era. We are talking about I'm referring here to Dr. Muhammad al-Ghazali. He wrote a book, and I think it is translated to English. It is about women, upon the customs and upon Islam, or between customs and Islam. What kind of examples that he brought in, that we have many women who been working and researching and been married at the same time. He brought in some examples, give you the example, and it is a living one. Talking about Sahih al-Bukhari, you know Sahih al-Bukhari? Wow, this is the very most important book to Salafi. If you read the, talking about the sanad, the chain of this book, because those books, talking about those books in early Islam, they've been passed to us upon chains, upon narrators. The same way we've been, the narration of hadith, single narration each time, even the books, they've been under the umbrella of passing and transmitting, and should be sound chain. Okay? The chain of this book, the narrator, one of the narrator of this book, her name is Fatima al-Jawza Jadaniya. Fatima, this Fatima, she was the Shaykha of al-Bukhari. Yes, she was a teacher. She was one of the teacher. Coming to Ibn al-Hajar al-Asqalani, he has Shaykha as well. Coming to Al-Imam al-Shawkani, he said that I have Shaykha, and he named her, and after she delivered her child, she could not keep teaching in the mosque. So those ladies been teaching men, and there was no problem with it. And we are not talking about the companions, we are talking about women lived in the 17th century, 16th century, and even in the 19th century.